however, think even if Ku was here, he would need to do a godlike performance to interrupt Super Hot Crew's laning and decision-making because they are just on a tear.
So here we go. Picks and bans underway, fast and furious. Aurelia being banned out once again by the Super Hot Crew. All 3 games so far. There's the Lulu ban from Cloud9 Eclipse. They still don't want to let that through to Selfie, who is very relaxed right now. Where is the Jax ban once again as well. So Super Hot Crew really are focusing on those 2 champions. They have been very much in the meta so far. Again, another ban coming in. This time Yasuo taken away from Selfie. All 3 games so far. And the LeBlanc ban taken away from Febivan, who played it in the first match.
So this is the first time Super Hot Crew have deviated from their pick ban strategy since game 1 and 2. They've left Morgana available. While I'm not expecting it to be a first pick, it does allow Cloud9 Eclipse to possibly get their hands onto that champion. I think taking a look at the final bans, Nidalee is still available. Ryze was the final ban out there from Cloud9 Eclipse. So the question is, what do they want to run? Maybe they're not even going to run Nidalee. You know, Super Hot Crew did such a great job at shutting Nidalee down. They could let it slide through, and if Cloud9 pick it up, Selfie just say, I'll just play Fizz again.
He's saying they could let it go.
They could. They could let it go.
Let it go. That's what I think they need to do. Ryze has been taken away, so Mima's not going to get a chance to run that, scratching his head, wondering what he's going to go with. Will he go with Renekton? Left it open before, of course. There
Lucian
was
first pick, maybe?
number of options. We could even see the jungler first pick. No, it looks like they can go with that Leona once again. For Mixer has played it very well in the opening 2 matches.
So actually, if I'm looking at the picks and bans, Game 1, Leona was first pick for Super Hot Crew. Game 2, first rotation for Super Hot Crew. Game 3 now, once again, first picking that Leona. We talked about the fact that Morgana was available, and I'm expecting Voidal to pick it up. He has played a lot of Morgana, and Morgana does particularly well against Leonas if you manage the Black Shield correctly. So we need to see if they eventually lock that in.
It seems a switch coming out from Cloud9 there, debating what to go. They did have Blitzcrank hovered over, but I don't think they're going to go with that. Morgana is probably going to get locked in, like you mentioned, was banned out in the last 2 matches, so this time has snuck through the cracks. But Kha'Zix, we saw Impaler running it in Game 2. Santorin in Game 1 is seemingly still the #1 jungler that everybody in Europe focuses on.
Yeah, it's one of the preferred junglers because of the power that you have when you start ganking. Now, Cloud9 are going to roll away from that Morgana. The one thing I do want to touch on, though, is the potential psychological play that Super Hot Crew have done. By not banning Morgana away, we assume it's going to be locked in, which makes you assume Super Hot Crew predicted it and will have a plan to play against it. We'll need to see how the rest of it plays out, because all of that is just theory crafting until the champion actually does get locked in.
Renekton, well, I mean, no surprise Renekton got locked in there, but the fact that Aurelia and Jax were taken away to one, they're going, well, okay, we're going to play it safe. Ryze was taken away from me, who didn't honestly work out very well in the last matchup. And it does mean we're going to see Mima possibly falling back again to Mundo. We could go to Shyvana. We'll see which way it is at the moment. Impaler is going to be going back to his old faithful Vi. It's what worked out for him in those first games against SK Gaming. And of course, Lucian, well, Mr. Rales, no surprises there.
What we're seeing from Cloud9 is early aggression already.
Switch to Twisted Faced in the mid lane for Selfie. This is something new.
It is something new, but
it's something he's been practicing. If you look at the solo queue.
The thing that I like about this is Super Hot Crew have already got strong initiation, they've got strong split pushing, and they've got strong wave control with that Twisted Fate. There's also added bonus with the Destiny of Twisted Fate that will reveal Kha'Zix in teamfights. One of the biggest difficulties in dealing with that bug in the teamfights when he stealths up is always having a pink ward. And if Santorin finds a moment where he can pick a fight where you don't have vision, all of a sudden, he's in a supremely advantageous position. That will be somewhat countered by the Destiny. What we are seeing from Cloud9, though, is a very aggressive laning phase. Morgana Dark Binding into damage from Twitch is going to be monumentally terrifying if they can land it all. You've got Renekton that wants to be a lane bully and push up. You want Santorin and Kha'Zix that's going to be ganking and moving around the map to try to control the lanes. What I really like about the Twisted Fate pick, though, is if Selfie is a strong Destiny user, he can even try to counter some of those. He can turn those ganks around and turn some of that lane presence. But there's going to be a lot of pressure on Selfie to use it correctly, because Cloud9 are going for, in my opinion, probably a very strong laning to mid-game team comp.
And Impaler now going with that choice, of course, had no reason to lock in the Xin Zhao in the last picks. It seems he will go for it this time around. Shyvana will also seemingly be the counter that Mima will go with. Yep, locked it in. And there is Xin Zhao locked in. So fairly similar comp. It's only the mid laner that is different in this Super Hot Crew lineup compared to Game 1.
Yeah, I really like the mix of damage and map control champion. Shyvana's going to become a very strong split
Shyvana's
pusher.
different as well, of course.
And Shyvana's also going to be able to outscale Renekton. You know, we see in the early game Renekton should bully Shyvana around. We need to see how that matchup actually pans out in their favor. But I really like the engage. Leona, Xin Zhao, Shyvana, dive in there. It gives you a strong front line to protect Lucian and TF. And if by some miracle they get engaged upon, Xin Zhao's just going to knock everybody away. Just kick them out. And Febiven is the man to lock in the next champion. He looks stressed. I mean, that is a worried face.
Well, he's actually been having a tough mid lane against Selfie, that's for sure. You know, Selfie has been putting him through the paces. Obviously on the Nidalee in last game, didn't really work out, ended up getting dived and killed pretty early on by the aggression that came out from Selfie, so maybe he's caught them a little bit off guard, and there is Nidalee locked in once again. So we'll see if it works out. They have a very strong comp this time around.
Yeah, so on the side of Cloud9, the Nidalee is somewhat counterintuitive with the rest of the champions. Morgana, Twitch, Renekton, Kha'Zix, they kind of want to be in your face. Spray and pray getting down. Morgana wants to be, you know, soul shackling people up. And if they get dove upon, obviously you're going to use that ultimate defensively. What I don't like is there's not enough peel. So if at any point Super Hot Crew jump onto Cloud9 Eclipse, who's going to protect them? You're going to have one Dark Binding and a Soul Shackles. The moment that's gone, Renekton has a single target stun. There's a very small slow on Kha'Zix, and they're going to be dashing away. What I like to see with Nidalee's is you play Thresh, because you put the box down, you put Flays, you can peel, you can buy time for more javelins. The point being, if Super Hot Crew engage correctly, they should be able to run down Cloud9 Eclipse. The same token, Cloud9 Eclipse's lanes are much stronger in this game, so if their top and bottom lane, duo lane, can get ahead, it's going to be much more difficult to engage upon them. So laning phase, crucial for Cloud9 Eclipse.
Well, we'll see how this one works out, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, the first two games have gone to the Super Hot Crew. Can Cloud9 Eclipse turn this one around? It is all on them now. Super Hot Crew, they are 1 foot in towards the summer LCS. Can they complete the job? Or will overconfidence become a problem? Nerves definitely a problem right now for Cloud9 Eclipse. You see Hyanan there nearest your screen next to Voidal. The beautiful hair is clearly discussing with his team, clearly the brain, that's what Hyanan is in Swedish, and discussing basically what they've got to do in this, because this is a big, big match.
So during picks and bans, I actually think Voidal was doing more talking than Hyanan, but they're trying to speak up. Laning phase again, super crucial. Let's see what they can do.
Well, we talked about it before, Voidal being the most experienced man on the match right now. We'll see how it works out. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Game 3 of this best of 5. Super Hot Crew. Match point for them, 2-0 up as the blue team up against Cloud9 Eclipse, as the red team desperately trying to get in there. They are the champions of the playoffs for Challenger Series, and of course they also won that first series, so really you would argue they are probably the most experienced Challenger team going through. Ninjas in Pajamas, you could argue, also in there, but the glory has gone to Cloud9 Eclipse, but this time around, it's not worked out. Look at the votes, though. 76% for the Super Hot Crew there. Big swing in their favor now after those first 2 games.
They've mirrored their initial vote. Initially, it was 74% in favor of Cloud9 from the website poll. Now 76% in favor of Super Hot Crew. And the way that they've been playing, I'm surprised it's not higher. One thing I do want to note about those lanes, it's only the top and the bottom lane that I feel is going to do very well early on for Cloud9 Eclipse, because Nidalee, of course, pre-6, no wave clear, going to be dealing with a Ghost Flash Twisted Fate. So if at any point Febiven gets shoved into his lane, Selfie's going to have a lot of time to roam. And once again, I'm going to add the disclaimer. Selfie's going to have the onus to use his ultimate correctly, because he should be able to control the wave, he should be able to push Febiven backwards, and he should be able to, in theory, get to a place where he can ultimate and try help out those slightly weaker lanes of his team. First time we're seeing, well, not a first time, we're seeing another invade. This time around, Super Hot Crew pretty committed. It may end up just being a buff steal, though.
But this is a different type of buff steal, because this is a blue for a red, and Super Hot Crew, you would expect, Impaler, of course, is going to have to back away, and they actually may well meet each other in that tri-bush. We'll see how this one works out. Here we go. There's the blue steal coming out. Suntorin's going to be taking that one. They're going to cross themselves their paths.
Duos for
Hyanan
duos.
snuck in. Hyanan's got through.
He's got vision.
They know now that the red buff will have been stolen away. Will they manage to get some damage down? It is going to be Mixer that takes a quick burst of damage. Xin Zhao, Impaler in that mid lane, is going to have Santorin on him any second now. He's going to come around there. He has taken away the large Wraith. He's going to get the 3-talent strike, but look at that. The unseen threat doing the damage from Santorin. And just like that, Taste of Fear works down wonders on Impaler.
Level 1 versus level 2. The buff steal, not worth it at all because it ends up in Santorin's hands, plus the first blood, plus the experience on that side. Impaler may be playing a little too greedy. Truthfully as well, you don't expect an invade. You generally, the standard is red for red.
But the problem is, the minute that top lane saw Twitch coming out that bush, they knew that this was changing around. They knew that chances are there was just a blue buff steal. But there was seemingly no warning, no communication, because there was two people stood together. Mima backed away. They didn't communicate, didn't protect each other, and just walked away.
Hadn't put 2 and 2 together, and I just think greed. I really think that's just straight up greed. Maybe Impaler underestimating how long it was going to take him to do the Wraith camp, or whether it's just, poor communication. So Santorin with a strong start, got himself that first blood. He's going to get towards his Spur of the Elder Lizard somewhat quicker. Keep in mind, though, that the earlier the first blood is, the less value it is. So pre-4 minutes, God, what was the timestamp on that actual kill? 2:29. So it was roughly 50% of the starting value. It scales from 60% of the value at 2 minutes, all the way up to full value at 4.
Mima may well be the next focus target. There's Odoamne, gets the stun down on towards him. Santorin, by the time he gets here, he's well out of position. It's like he was lagging on land there. Right? It's just impossible, but there we go.
I think he didn't cancel the spell cast, which he had already channeled. So half-hearted attempt. Mixer going aggressive on Hyanin. But this is what we sort of expected. You'll notice that both Mima's being shoved into his lane naturally, into his tower naturally, and Hyanin and Voidal are playing very aggressive on Mr. Rolls and Mixer.
And we should talk about, obviously Mixer's, the fact that he's been going with this Leona constantly, which is why they're banning out Morgana, because Morgana's considered the hard counter to Leona.
In theory.
Well, obviously, Class, we've seen different plays from Nif, obviously completely proving the theory wrong and completely outplaying the...
This is a very big discussion point, because in my opinion, it's a skill matchup, right? Leona's going to have the option to Zenith Blade a target. If that target has a black shield, it means they don't get rooted, but the Zenith Blade still gets channeled, right? So you still follow onto the target. You can then switch and use your Q on Leona, the Shield of Daybreak, to stun a different target. Or alternatively, if you time it well enough, just wait for the Black Shield to time out. So we've seen the matchup go either way. We've seen Morgana's beating Leona, and we've seen Leona's beating Morgana's. And it just comes down to your individual talent skill, and targeting.
But
timing.
I would say, in a standard play, that is how it works out. Of course, we have seen Nif doing the old classic. We've seen it in North America as well. You do the Zenith Blade, you flash over and actually do the stun on the opposite person you jumped on towards. We'll see how it works out. Impaler ready and waiting. They're going to go aggressive. Mr. Rale's caught out. Mixer's gone deep, expecting the support. Nobody came. Yeah,
Dark Binding on Mr. Rale's is just keeping him too low. He can't really commit to the fights. Falling slightly behind on CS. And we did see Impaler nearby.
Ooh, this is
but that would have been very committed if he went for that.
Mr. Ral is very low. He's just warded up the Tribush. They're going to see Santorin coming in there. The question is, can they get out quick enough?
Summon a heal and exhaust. If Mixer doesn't get the exhaust down before the damage lands on Mr. Rals, I think he's going to get dropped out. But they did have vision, so they were aware that the potential is there.
Well, Selfie hadn't hit level 6 yet. He's about to, though. Not far off it, and he would be able to join in. He was already starting to make tracks up there. There is 6 for Forbidden. He's going to put some damage down. Stun card on towards him, followed by the wild cards. Forbidden taking some damage. Selfie, we'll see how he does on this one. Destiny is now available, whether he's going to start making those ganks, making those plays.
He will. If there was ever an indication to confirm why I'm so confident, he went Boots Pots as his first item. If you've got Ghost Flash Boots as your first, itemization on a Twisted Fate, you're expecting to get involved. So let's see how Super Haku start this gank on Odoamne. This is 2-on-1.
They're going to go going towards their 3-talent strike available, but again, he can't get close, and Odoamne using the slice and dice that Mima did so well before, followed by the flash, and it makes him get away from that one very easily.
So Ignite burned on the side of Mima just to try and get that kill pressure down. Had Impaler gotten that knock-up, maybe it would have worked in his favor, but it didn't. Mixer eats a Dark Binding.
A lot of poison to boot there. Hyanin putting some serious pressure with Voidal on this lane, and this is the most pressure we've seen on Super Hot Crew in the lane phase.
Yeah, it is because of the lane matchups. I mean, Leona, yes, she can do well, and we've already talked about how Morgana's got tools to deal with Leona, but once Mixer hits level 6, all of a sudden that targeting and that Black Shield timing becomes so much more important. So Santorin, he's got the only kill in the game, going for the blue buff invaded. Febiven will pretend we didn't see that.
Speaking of perfect timing, though, that spear was thrown way before his spawn. Oh, that probably could have gone better, but instead Santorin will secure it nevertheless. He gets his own blue. He can go across and obviously give Febiven his own blue, but so that spear was thrown before it spawned and landed perfect.
That's the second time we've seen that as well. Going for the blue buff invades and Febiven not connecting on the actual golem with the javelin toss. Whether or not that's just nerves or, you know, not setting it up correctly, because I mean, truthfully, Santorin pulled it further away, which meant it was more difficult to hit with. Regardless, blue buff was stolen. Santorin continues to hold on to this very minor lead. And we'll see how quickly Impaler can get to the Feral Flare. The standard timings for this series is 15 minutes for Impaler's first one. Santorin went 16 minutes for his first Feral Flare.
Mimer's getting aggressed upon by Odoamne, but in terms of health, you can see Odoamne obviously still, though, hasn't backed away from that initial gank attempt they had on him. Did go towards that pickaxe, so Laser Rune King will be coming out from Odoamne's. Mimer, meanwhile, we'll see whether he does the same, but went Ninja Tabby early on, expecting that early aggression.
We'll see how it pans out for them. I mean, if you look on the side of Cloud9 Eclipse,
Mimer should not be winning.
No, he shouldn't. But that's also because Odoamne is he's trying to bully him. So whenever you spend time trying to harass your opponents, naturally you're going to lose some CS. And of course, Impaler's gank, forcing Odoamne to lose that flash very early on. We do see Febiven connecting. Javelin toss grabs his blue buff. I think one of the things that's going to be very interesting to see is when Selfie decides to use that Destiny. He's held onto it, but he's motioned as if he was going to use it 2 separate occasions. So doing pretty well at CSing, and actually, no, I take that back. He's behind on CS2, a Nidalee pre-6. I don't think that should be the case.
No, he did, as you mentioned, motion towards using that Destiny. That may be already is. Here comes Santorin. Mimer's in all sorts of trouble. He's going to use that Dragon Descent, but he's not going to get him far enough away, or is it? Santorin's going deep on this one. He's tower dived. Impaler comes in. He can get the revenge kill. Or can he? The damage going down. There's the tower hit doing it. And the double buffs return to Impaler.
Impaler avenges his initial death. Because Santorin went deeper than maybe he should have, Odoamne did not back him up, didn't go with him, so it ended up being a very difficult situation to get out of. 1-for-1 kill credit on Impaler, and he's working towards, of course, that Wriggle's Lantern. Let's see if Selfie comes in behind Odoamne. There's a red buff there on Rinneck.
Destiny card comes in. Is it too much? There's the stun on the tower, and now Selfie's got double buffs.
Everybody wants double buffs. We need to keep an eye on how long these double buffs actually last. Because now I'm anticipating a gank.
Wildcard missed that for sure.
Those wildcards went a little wild in that bottom lane. So Selfie now going to return to the mid lane. That's actually the second time we've seen those sort of gank situations where Impaler or Mimer have underestimated their opponent. You know, they've gone in for that 2v1 situation and ended up giving up a kill, whether it's because of timing or something else you can, of course, argue.
Tiamat now built up by Odoamne. Could argue that if it had backed up originally with Santorin instead of diving in the tower on his own, he would have secured himself 2 kills there. Here we go. Mixer getting caught out there, but he can quick. Culling being used onto Voidland, actually doing some very good damage. He has got that BF sword on him, but of course, not a great deal of armor on Voidal's part, just that health regen. But Super Hot Crew, they're going to try and start these rotations. Pink Ward's going to get cleared out, and Impaler actually putting Pink Ward of his own down in that bush and still keeping themselves safe.
I like the positioning from Impaler. Had anything happened in terms of ganks or had Santorin jumped in there, then you could have seen a situation where they could have done a counter gank. Regardless, it didn't work out that time round. Pink Ward was cleared, and you'll notice that Selfie has gone for the Sheen. I'm expecting the Lich Bane as the first item, which is somewhat non-traditional, but again, it's just going to play movement speed, tower pressure, and side lane gank.
Oh, this is maybe the first dragon of the game for Cloud9. Definitely the first dragon of this game. I'm thinking the first dragon of maybe the series. I'm not too sure. Certainly the first one around, because it's been Super Hot Crew that have been securing that first dragon for the last 2 games. Cloud9 Eclipse warding out that bush, and rightly so, because Impaler is looking to try and push towards his top turret, the first one of the game, possibly for Super Hot Crew.
Very smart play to get the dragon on the side of Cloud9. It was once a very smart decision. We do see tower falling in the top,
bottom
and
lane.
It looks like they want to dive onto Mimer. Santorin's denying the minion wave. They're going on him.
They're going to go towards him. Mimer going to use that Dragon Descent. He's going to try and run away, keep the distance from Santorin, who has taken a couple of tower hits here. Mimer's done a good job, but the damage coming out for Odoamne now that he's got, of course, That on the Tiamat on towards him is too strong. We did see a little bit of motion. Mima though using that burnout, trying to get a distance. And he gets away with it. Very well played, Mima.
The Ninja Tabi is a very big reason as to why he got away. All those auto attacks that were threaded in between the spell cast had the damage reduced. Giant Spell early pickup as well, in addition to the bonus armor and magic resist you get from Dragon's Descent, means he actually tanked for a very long time. Odoamne and Santorin were never on Mima for a prolonged period of time. It was one or the other really trying to shut him down. And that was super, super close. But Mima gets away with his life.
Very well played. Of course, the tower wins the Supa crew. The first one of the game, that was in that top lane. So we're going to have a switch around. It is going to be Mr. Alice and Mixer making the way down towards his bottom lane now. We will see Mima. He's already up towards that top half of the map. Selfie in its mid lane. Still falling behind on Verbiven on this farm. And Yanan, he's trying to stealth his way into the lane, but, well, you can already see Selfie's backed the hell out of that.
So it's kind of weird to see Hyonan making that sort of stealth gang play with a Bloodthirster. And the reason I think it's a little weird, traditionally when you go for that ambush-style Twitch, it's Blade of the Rune King that you go for. Because it allows you to slow your opponent down. When you consider he's trying to gank a Nidalee who has no innate crowd control anyway, it allows you to use that spray and pray and stick to a target. So Hyonan going for a Bloodthirster is, to me, talking more about a big team fight and hitting multiple members and sustain, and not necessarily that ambush assassination type situation. Santorin, once again, trying to make a play on Mima. Mima does not have Dragon's Descent yet, but I think he's going to get away.
He's got the burnout running, he's got a tower. Santorin's going to put some good damage down towards him. Destiny comes down, they're going to try and reverse this one. Dangerous, dangerous stuff. Spray and pray being coming out there. It's not Ratatat just yet. Instead, they're going to jump on towards Yanan. Yanan with the ignite on him does back away safe. And the Impaler, if it had been a little bit closer, could have got damage down, but they have left that mid turret exposed to Febiven.
And remember, Destiny reveals Twitch as well as Kha'Zix when they are stealthed up, so Selfie was able to land that gold card the moment he came in. I'm not entirely convinced by the positioning of that Destiny. It was a little odd, but nevertheless, they don't manage to secure the kill. We do see Selfie deviating somewhat from item path. We just need to see what he builds, because he did go something like 67 or 70% cooldown reduction in the first game of the day. Right now got himself that needlessly large rod as well as an Amto.
And while we're on the focus of a Twitch, I'd like to thank the developers for changing that beautiful spray and pray ultimate to rat-tat-tat-tat.
No, there's
That's
one
going to be an
T2
interesting one.
You gave it one T2. It's rat-tat-tat-tat.
Tat-tat.
Yes, that's the correct. That is the correct way.
It's beautiful.
As somebody.
Yeah, thanks for that, guys. I know you guys are listening over in Los Angeles, in the Santa Monica office, so we're fully appreciative of the changes you keep doing.
One thing I also want to briefly touch on this Twisted Fate pick, and something that's very interesting because of how important the lane swaps and the tower pushing game has become in. Some people are calling it a split push meta at the moment, although this series hasn't necessarily been about that. Twisted Fate is just so incredibly strong in those positions. He can push lanes very well. If he needed to run Exhaust into Assassins, it's a very powerful place to be. And it's interesting because Twisted Fate fell completely out of favor. Towards the end of last year, we didn't see him really at all, and now he's shining once again.
Taylor is continuing to try and build that Feral Flare. Hasn't quite got it yet. Is some way behind right now in his build, of course, but it is continuing to go. Went for that Ninja Tabi as well. Mima in this top lane, he's continuing that farm going. He's kept up very well with Odoamne. Selfie getting aggressive on Odoamne, putting a lot of damage. The Ignite should be enough to finish him off. It's going to be Febiven that will steal it with a secure spear.
That was very well played by Odoamne. Using the slice and dice through the minions and really just getting onto Selfie super, super quickly. Well coordinated, and going to give them another kill. So Cloud9 Eclipse holding even in gold, despite being down a tower. Keep in mind they did grab a dragon though.
And keep in mind that there is a Twisted Fate on the board for Supa Hot Crew, which in itself will give himself a chunk of gold. But 16 minutes gone, they are pushing
600 bonus gold so far on Twisted Fate.
There we go. They've technically got themselves a nice lead. There's the tower going down in the mid lane, the all-important one. And for the first time, Cloud9 Eclipse really taking the lead coming out of the lane phase.
It is almost expected because of the fact that they've got these champions that do shine early on in terms of their top and their bottom lane. What we need to keep an eye on is how they now transition to this mid game. Now Cloud9 need to ensure their waves are controlled and managed well, because Selfie will be able to respond. He's got a Sheen, which is going to amplify his damage to towers, and assuming the minions are working with him, we should see once again like these tower pushes. if it's available, Selfie and Impaler or Mima, there's tower killing power if they can rotate quickly enough.
Yeah, they are 3-1 up in towers, and this time with the Dragon up in 10 seconds time. Super Hot Crew are ready and waiting to pounce on this one. There's no teleport for Mima. He's going to get his boots moving. He's actually teleporting back to base, while Cloud9 Eclipse are ready and waiting to go. Don't think they quite have the timer on this one. Cloud9 Eclipse have started it off already. Mima, a long way from this fight.
Cloud9 cannot risk being caught by a solar flare. If 2 or 3 members get hit by it, that is exactly how they'll win the fight. But this is 3v5. This is brave from Mixer.
Solar Flare goes in. Mixer going deep on this one. You can see that's the ultimate coming out for Voidal. Mixer has gone down, the first death of the series for him. Impaler in trouble. He gets dropped. He did manage to get the Dragon locked up there. Selfie flashes away. He's got the stun card pulled already. Manages to pull it on towards Santorin. Mima now keeping him at bay, and they will back off. It's a 2-death for Super Hot Crew, but they secured the Dragon.
Yeah, very well played by Impaler to secure the Dragon, but Super Hot Crew commits 3v5. I mean, at the end of the day, they threw themselves into a situation where they were outnumbered and they were outgunned. So they gave up 2 kills. I still think overall net gain in favor of Super Hot Crew. You can see they've closed that gold lead that Cloud9 had built up and accrued for them. But they can't run the risk of doing those sorts of plays against. That's the first risky, questionable play we've seen from Super Hot Crew, I think, all series long.
Well, Forbidden has completed that Rabadon's death cap now. No boots still picked up by that Nidalee, but working out well. Coming out of the lane phase and looking very strong. Santorin himself has evolved his wings. He's starting to look strong as well. That X-Trigger was completed. Now starting to build it towards yet more items with that Elder Lizard completed a long time ago. Still no sign from Impaler of that Feral Flare. Still trying to build it up. Hasn't been able to buy himself a lot of time, really. And the fact that we're coming up to 19 minutes, it's a very long one. There is the Feral Flare finally completed 19 minutes in. And now Mima continuing to be aggressive. This time around, though, Shyvana will start getting stronger. But you can see he's a full item behind Odoamne now.
Yeah, Odoamne is doing very well. He's got a bunch of kills to his name. At this point, Shyvana's levels and items are going to start swinging more in Shyvana's favor, and there's more tools, I think, in Shyvana's kit to split push. So let's see if Odoamne can control. They're chasing him down.
There's the flash, does manage to catch on towards him. That's going to be the knock-up any second if Impaler can get one step closer, but Mima actually knocked him away from him. And Impaler, he's going to have the cooldown. He's going to get the Dacia's charge back on towards him. Dominus comes out, slice and dice from Odoamne. Has he got away from this one? He has! A great escape, but while this is happening, there's a big push on the bottom.
4 members of Cloud9 are shoving the bottom wave. Selfie is pushing in the mid wave. This could end up being a tower trade for tower trade. Let's see if Mixer and Mr. Rolls can defend.
Impaler's running down towards that mid lane. There's going to be the solar flare. That's a 4-man dive from Mixer straight on towards him. Voidal and Hyanan taking a lot of tower damage. Hyanan taking very low from that one. He has to back away. There's the mid inner turret going down. They're rotating towards the top.
Mixer and Mr. Rolls defend against 4 members of Cloud9. Selfie is just about to get his destiny available, and 3 members of Super Hot Crew are now on this top turret. If a gold card connects on Odoamne, I think they're going to dive him. Selfie's got turret aggro.
Wild card goes through, does manage to pull some damage back on towards him. Impaler continues the damage on the tower. A second inner turret for the Super Hot Crew picked up. What a great rotational play, and more importantly, fantastic defensive work down that bottom tower.
5 versus 2 in terms of towers. Super Hot Crew sneak 2 turrets under the nose of Cloud9 Eclipse, while Cloud9 were in a 4 versus 2 situation. So the reason that didn't go well for Cloud9, Nidalee doesn't want to tower dive. There's no damage reduction and tower shots on Kha'Zix with his ultimate anymore, so he doesn't want to tower dive. And Morgana is okay at tower dive, but she's so squishy. She simply can't take turret aggro long enough to make that work. So at the end of the day, Cloud9 come away in a very poor position.
Destiny being used for vision from Selfie. He's going to go down towards that bottom lane, actually back away. It was like, I'm going to take this wave, and I think he got told off by Mima actually there. He was like, no, you don't, you dare. They did actually check Baron there, Cloud9 Eclipse, because, of course, remember, Super Hot Crew snuck in there and taken that a couple of times. Around about the 25-minute mark, they were a little early on that one, but it was a full concerted effort. They had no vision there, and 4 members moved towards that Baron because they were expecting Super Hot Crew to back for it.
So because Mima hasn't built any attack damage yet, like a Blade of the Ruined King or similar, I think it's going to be much more difficult for Super Hot Crew to pull off the same strategy, because they'll need Mr. Rolls and Impaler to be in that scenario. And if they get caught out, they're in trouble. Right now, 4 members of Cloud9, that's Selfie going super far forward.
Selfie caught out. Zonya's Hourglass being used straight away, though. Mixer going very deep. Solar Flare doing work. That's going to be Odoamne going down. A quick turnaround. Santorin does manage to take down Mixer. Santorin getting caught out, stunned up. Selfie thrown out the wild card. Mima coming from behind. There's the Dragon Descent straight on towards him. He's 4 men deep straight in towards the rest of the team catching up towards him. Puts damage down towards Yanan. Yanan taking full burst from Mr. Rallis. One more hit should do it. Mima tries to flash for it. He gets it secured with the Ignite.
And we'll see if it carries on. Voidal's knocked up.
Voidal caught out. He gets stunned and knocked out. He's down as well. It's a 3-for-1 so far. The Super Hot crew are turning this fight on its favor. And now they're moving towards Baron.
This is so risky. If Cloud9 are aware of this and Febiven moves in to throw those javelins out, yeah, that was very, I think, smart to back away. Had javelins been thrown in there, it would have been very difficult. Now, in terms of the fight starting, Selfie actually gets away with his life thanks to some smart itemization. He avoided a lot of damage thanks to that Zhonya's Hourglass, and Febiven lands some very key javelins later on as this fight drags out. So keep your eyes on Selfie's HP. Dark Bindings are good from Voidal. Because Mima's got no Bilgewater Cutlass or no Bladezilla King, he's not a particularly strong threat. Oh, Ignite. Flash for Ignite, which is how Mima managed to grab that one. And basically the long-range skill shots from Cloud9 prevented anything worse from happening because they dealt enough damage, but it was a good response from Super Hot Crew. Because nobody got blown up instantly, they could run Cloud9 down, and their comp is just better at chasing, and that's what we talked about. No peel. No peel from Cloud9, teamfights don't go their way.
Now they are looking to engage again. Those spears not landing just yet. We did see Febiven landing one on Selfie in that fight. And that's what forced him very low. He'd also just landed one on towards Mixer a moment ago. Cloud9 Eclipse starting out the Baron. Destiny being used, taking full vision of this one. Solar Flare going down. Selfie's coming around the side. He's already on towards Santorin. Santorin very, very low. There's going to be the Zhonyas, but it doesn't matter. Impaler's dived in. Febiven's taken low. Mima finishes the job. Odo1 the next focus. He's going to get bounced by that 3-talent strike. Mr. Rallis takes him down. Selfie gets himself another obliteration for the Super Hot crew as they take 4 members of Cloud9 Eclipse down.
And the Dragon is available to their choosing. They don't even want it. It looks like they're going straight for Baron. They've got high death timers on the side of Cloud9. That was just such a great team fight. Super Hot Crew commit to the team fight. Mima was coming in from the north of the jungle from Cloud9 Eclipse. And Selfie with the super confident Destiny jumps straight into the middle of the team and immediately pulls all the focus. Flawless execution from Super Hot Crew, and that was the control that we've seen from games 1 and 2.
So Baron going their way from that fight. Mixer, you gotta be careful he doesn't go down. Just getting stacked up a little bit there, but now it is a 6,000 gold advantage built up. Hyanan still pushing his bottom wave in. He may just about get himself time, but I don't think he fancies it. He's, of course, got that stealth mechanic where he can escape, but still got to be careful with that Destiny available by Selfie. Hyanan will back away, and they're going to go for Dragon. It's going to be some gold at least for them, but they've got to be careful because Super Hot Crew are already moving in.
Yeah, I don't know if Super Hot Crew will get there in time, though. So Dragon will be going over uncontested to Cloud9. They've lost their red buff, though, as Mima has actually picked that one up himself. He's going full tank on the Shyvana. I'm still not seeing any attack damage from him. And the only reason I highlight that, had he gone attack damage, one of the best ways to deal with a Nidalee is to engage upon it over and over. And it's something we've seen many times in the past. If you have those aggressive comps, but you don't pull a trigger, you allow yourself to get sieged upon. And because Cloud9 have got so little peel, it's only Morgana that's going to be doing that for them. You dodge one of those Dark Bindings, and if you can wait out the Soul Shackles, there's nothing else to stop you. Nothing else to stop you. So Super Hot Crew have just run rampant over Cloud9. Now they've got the items and their levels.
The big tank here, like you mentioned. So Super Hot Crew move in. They take themselves the blue buff. It will be Selfie that locks that one down. And we see, once again, are we going to have a 4-1 split coming out from Super Hot Crew? You can see Mima all in his own in his top lane. He's happy to keep on pushing.
Super Hot Crew can go for a 1-3-1 if they want to. Shyvana's a great split pusher, Twisted Fate is a great split pusher, and Twisted Fate can rejoin a fight as well. So if Super Hot Crew wanted to keep their groups together, I mean, that's Destiny being used from Selfie. Again, just to get vision, have information, and now they're going to push up this inner turret. So very smart play. The champions are going to allow Super Hot Crew the map control that they have earned. And thanks to being so beefy, Cloud9 need to land some very, very good spears if they want to prevent losing their inhibitor turrets in the next couple of minutes.
Febiven comes down, but it's only a half-hearted defensive job from Cloud9 Eclipse here, throwing them spears out, trying to prevent really lower the minion count, if anything, which is what we're seeing coming out from Hjarnan, trying to clear out the minions, making sure that those inhibitor towers are safe. There's a big wave pushing in towards the top there. Mima's actually rotated around towards the mid lane right now to keep that wave pushing in, and the rest of the Super Hot crew are going to gang up here. They've still got that Baron buff on. You can see Mixer off at the side. They're really wanting to start something off with that Solar Flare.
Yeah, if you look at the wards that Super Hot crew have through the jungle, they can't get flanked by Cloud9, and Cloud9 have got very limited wave clear. I think when that Venom Cask is not down, it's going to be very difficult. And Pela took a good chunk of damage there from Odoamne, but it's not going to be enough. He should be regenerating it not too long, thanks to that Baron buff and, of course, the on-hit health that his Feral Flare is going to give him.
Selfie's taking a quick burst from Hjarnan. Odoamne actually taking down a fair chunk of health. Remember, he hasn't built massively tanky this time around. He'd start off with that Tiamat, has got himself the Sunfire Cape and Banshee's Veil now, though. Mima rotates back towards the top. Again, 4-1 split, continuing this working out there. Selfie's this time taking a spear. And those spears are slowing things down here. They do see Mr. Rales caught out. It's not going to be enough. Blocked off by Mima. That was a spear and a Dark Binding catching on towards him.
And Summoner Heal used. Mr. Rales actually popped it there, maybe in anticipation of somebody diving onto him. So Summoner Spell blown on the side of Super Hot crew, and that's exactly what Cloud9 need to do many times more if they wish to defend these towers, because Super Hot crew are showing no signs of backing off. With the minion wave on the bottom and Baron still up for another 20-odd seconds, they will keep sieging when Baron is off. I wouldn't be surprised if they backed away and played it safe.
Relentless aggression coming out from Mixer as he dives in towards this one. Selfie taken low. Doesn't get the Zhonya's Hourglass off in time. Voidal's going to get dropped by Mr. Rales. Or is he? Gets away. Febiven taken low. That's going to be him down. Mr. Rales gets picked on. This is actually a back and forth sloppy fight from both teams. Odoamne now on the turret is going to fight this one out. Voidal's going to try and come in with one of those Dark Bindings to keep him at bay, and Pela, once he gets that dash on towards him, will find himself one. Will he get a second? No, the Zenith Blade not quite landed from Mixer. They're going to have to back out of this one. It was a messy engage, but it was a 3-for-2 again in favor of Super Hot crew.
3-for-2, and the super squishy targets on Super Hot crew are down. That's not over yet.
They're not done yet. Odoamne has a lot of damage with that Tiamat. Mixer's going to get caught down. That's a 3-for-3. Impala caught out. They're going to try and turn this one back around. Odoamne is doing damage. Mima's going to get focused now. He has to use the burnout to try and escape. Impala is getting locked down. There's no escape for him. 3 Talent Strike is not enough for him, and Odoamne will run him down like he should do, and that's a 4-for-3 in favor of Cloud9 Eclipse, and they held on to the tower against a Baroned up Super Hot crew.
I don't know if Super Hot crew needed to tower dive. They still had Baron up. They still had siege potential. If you get a couple auto attacks from Twisted Fate with that Lichbane on a tower, it'll take a few waves before it goes down. It could have been the urgency of Baron running out and the fact that Mr. Rales had eaten a few too many Dark Bindings that made them dive and force it. It could also be somewhat of overconfidence, considering how far ahead they've been elsewhere in the series. At the end of the day, Cloud9, they defend it, they hold onto their turret, which is the most important thing, but they are still 6,000 gold down. So they need Super Hot crew to continue doing those same ill-advised dives, or look for more poke before they can regain some semblance of control in this game.
And Selfie, of course, he didn't even get a chance to use that Zhonya's in that fight. He was taken down so quickly at the start of it, so a lot of the damage was immediately removed from that fight. So Baron up, 1.5 minutes, Dragon a minute. Let's see which one they're going to go for. Super Hot crew are trying to keep Cloud9 Eclipse penned in towards their base as they push these waves back in towards them. But Cloud9 are doing a good job at keeping them clear at the moment.
Cloud9 actually defended that very well. I mean, all things considered, they held in the bottom lane, they held in the top lane. They performed well in the team fight. I still want to reiterate that I would like to see damage on Mima. Hjarnan's in trouble.
Hjarnan's going to get caught out. The Stun Guard along with a DFG doing that. Tell you what, it's not a DFG. There's going to be the Zhonya's being used out there. Lichbane was the one that did the damage. Mr. Rales closes out the deal on towards Febiven. We did also see Hjarnan going down. Santorin's going to run away. I think they're happy to let him escape though. That's going to be the Stun Guard followed by the damage. There's a double kill as Odoamne goes down. Super Hot crew have themselves 3-for-0 as they push on through to try and close the game out.
This is going to be an inhibitor at the very least, and if they get some minion support, they may be able to push down the Nexus turrets. You know what? With Mima and Impala, they can just tank up those Nexus turrets. It looks like they've done it.
Super Hot crew are pushing through. Both inhibitors now go down. Can they close this series out 3-0? They are thinking of backing away here. And they are
too excited.
Playing it safe. Well, Baron is up, and that's going to be the focus.
We got too excited. Death timers were running low. Febiven and Hjarnan were going to be able to defend that Nexus, and of course, Spray and Pray was available to Hjarnan. So, erring on the side of caution, Super Hot crew back away. Super minions in 2 lanes. They're going to secure themselves a Baron. And just to finish off the point, I feel like had Mima gone for a little bit of damage early on, all of those dives could have been quite drastically different because he would have had more kill threat on Cloud9. But that is just hindsight giving you the ability to make those questions. At the end of the day, Baron secured first one of this particular series for Super Hot Crew, and they've got themselves a nice 10,000 gold.
Got themselves the turret and the dragon for Cloud9 Eclipse, though. They are not out yet, but they are very, very close. It is 2 inhibitors down, just 1 remains, that bottom lane. They have to hold on tight while those super minions push in and the Baron up Super Hot Crew push on through. They've been so tight in these team fights, but the last one, they were simply caught out, picked off, and that's exactly what Cloud9 are looking to do right now.
This is going to be so difficult to defend because Cloud9 don't have the greatest wave clear. Voidal is going to get caught out. He's going to be in so much trouble. Destiny's been used.
Destiny coming down, Mixer getting caught, but look at that. He's got over 4,000 hit points. He doesn't care. Hyanin in trouble. He gets insta-popped. Now it's going to be Voidal. Culling doing all of the damage. Mr. Raleigh going crazy on this one. He does manage to lock himself down another. Well, Febivent completely out of position. Super Hot Crew just follow these super minions straight through to the Nexus.
There are 3 members of Cloud9 to defend against 5 members of the Super Hot Crew. Mima actually using the Dragon's Descent to get into the Nexus turrets even quicker. We touched on the fact that there's very little wave clear for Cloud9, so defending against multiple waves of super minions was always going to be difficult. It's been amplified now because they don't have the AD carrier support. This is game.
Very well played. Super Hot Crew looked strong throughout this one. They are going to re-qualify for the Summer League of Legends Championship Series. The Super Hot Crew are back in once again.
3-0.